Well, I've been immobilized, which means I've had a lot of time for introspection with a lot of drugs.
Hmm.
So, when I
That's the
wasn't
fun
asleep,
part.
right? And I only take liquid, like the Advil liquid gels. That's the extent of my drug use. So, Percodans were a whole new experience. But seriously, and all kidding aside, I had 3 months literally that I was immobile.
Hmm.
I have been having to deal with a lot of stuff. I have a child who is dealing with a lot of stuff. And that, for both of us, it's affected our interaction.
Hmm.
And she is probably the most like me at that age.
Hmm.
So it's very odd. And I know exactly the the root of things, but it's very difficult to sit there and have that introspection and know that well, I have to deal with this because I love her
Hmm.
and I'm not going to write off someone that I love, right?
Hmm.
And she's on to great things and she's doing really, really well. And so it's just a learning curve, right?
Hmm.
You have to figure out how to keep the love and let the other stuff go. I'm getting a lot of movement here, so this is really deep. So, but yeah, and I'm one of those people. You and I had talked about this in the past that things don't generally bother me
Hmm.
that bother other people. Like Mercury retrograde, I have great ones. Friday the 13th, always great days. I don't really know. Maybe it's because I don't really care, right?
Hmm.
I don't buy into all that. But when it's something that matters, and I mean, I had to look back at my relationship with my parents and evaluate how I was not going to be that person. There was a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. And
But
so,
you're right on target. I mean, this is what's been going on, and I'm bringing it up because I think there are so many people that are in this cycle right now,
it's a
you
hard place
know,
to be.
and I just want you to know that one, you're not alone. This is like some planetary thing. In January, Chiron, the wounded healer, I'm not an astrologer, so I just am like regurgitating some articles that I read, moved into a different planet. And so that was what they were saying was going to, like there would be this big shift in how we work on healing ourselves. I don't know. Look up Chiron, the wounded healer, 2019, if you want
How do
more
you spell that?
information. Chiron.
Oh, I didn't know that's how you said that.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's how I
I
say
have
it. Now,
seen
whether
that.
it's the real, if it's the real way you say it, I don't know. I say Chiron.
Works for
I have
me.
no
But
phonics
I mean, I've
skills,
seen that. So,
and but it's been hard. Not hard like my car broke down. Now it's the refrigerator. I broke my leg. There's that kind of hard.
oh,
This
I
has
had that
been
kind of
like
hard too.
but maybe that was the 2x4 that you needed to
That's
get you to
exactly
that
my take on
place.
it. It
You know,
happened because I wasn't stopping to deal with things,
right. You
and
know,
something had to give.
and so I just want this cycle though is forcing everyone to like really dig deep and look at some crap that is just like I just assume not look at personally.
I know, right?
And and deal with it. I mean, it's not even like there's a choice of deal with it or not deal with it and ignore it. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that are able to just ignore it, but I'm sure if they're listening to your show, they're not able to.
Right.
And I just want them to know that we're in a cycle and you're in a process. And what I do know for sure is that the person who comes out the other side of this cycle, it is not going to be the same person that went in. And the person that comes out is going to be so freaking awesome because they're going in and dealing with their crap,
Yes.
their deep crap. And they're going to come out empowered and whole and strong and feeling worthy and, having hope. I mean, there's just like a deep level, like, there's my anxiety closet, and there's been a lock on it for the last 30 years because I did not want to look in that thing. And
Nobody ever does.
And somebody took the door off and took all the crap that was in it and threw it into your living room and went, surprise! Now you have to deal.
This is for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But by the time you're done cleaning up your living room, your anxiety closet will be empty. And you can leave that door open. So I mean, it's huge. I wish it was just like a one-day thing and you could just be like, okay, I'm done. But it's apparently not working out that way.
No, it's months. And it really is months. We have Brenda in chat that has a really tough home environment. And she said, does she know about my situation? It's pretty ugly. And I said, it's the ugly in yourself. That's what I've had to cope with. Mm-hmm. And it's not external influences. It's what you've internalized over all these years that it's kind of like a dam break. Mm-hmm. And when I said this is moving in me, I mean, it literally is moving in my chest, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's where I carry tension. So it is a very freeing and liberating thing, but you have to admit that this is your color Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
You have to deal with this. This is about you.
Yeah, no one else can deal with it, and, I just sit there and when something comes up, some ugly pattern or some ugly memory and, I start crying, which I don't do, but apparently I do now.
I've got a lot of new things too. I feel ya.
I just sit there and I'll talk to a girlfriend of mine and she's like, well, how you doing? It's like, I just got done crying. And she was like, are you okay? It's like, yeah. I was just crying, I mean,
it's not negative. It's a release.
I know that whatever was coming up was ready to go. And it might leave me a little bit raw in this moment, but when I look at the bigger picture of where I'm going to be down the road, I appreciate every moment of rawness that I experience.
Yes. I mean,
so I'm not trying to fight it. I think, that's the message. It's like, don't fight it. Just be with it and be with yourself and acknowledge it and look at what's going on around you. If you're feeling anxious or sad, it's like, what's going on? What happened to me? Because a lot of times when we're experiencing stuff in the present, it's because there's some core wounding or a core thing that happened to us when we were 3 years old that we're trying to clear now,
Yeah. It's one of those things that no matter what you're coping with and no matter what is in your way, you still only have power over you. Mm-hmm. And that probably was the hardest thing for me to realize because I am a control freak.
No way.
Total way. I know you're shocked, right? Psychic friends, they always know better. But, seriously, you can't take on the world because you have enough of your own stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is what I'm getting from this conversation. It's what I went through. And one of the things,
actually, one of the things that I've learned, which I knew, but I guess I didn't really learn, is
yes,
is that people have to solve their own problems, and you can sit there and try to solve their problems for them, but it's not, you're not helping them. You're really not healing them. And you're not helping them by getting them out of their own issues.
Well,
you're just, and I don't like this word, you're just enabling them. It's like,
yeah, I don't care much for that word either, but it's very effective.
Yeah, it
And
makes you just go, ooh.
you're right. And it makes me cringe
Mm-hmm.
because I do not want to be that person.
But they also, the person that you might be supporting, I won't use that other word, unhealthily supporting, they're not getting the opportunity to let their karma play out. And so the universe doesn't get a chance to kick them in the butt in the appropriate way that they need so that they can move forward in a more healthy pattern if they choose. Because it's
If
always
they
about
choose.
choice.
It is. And sometimes you do find yourself between a rock and a hard place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the toughest situations to be in because sometimes you cannot fix what is happening outside of you. And it gets frustrating because you feel like you can't fix you until you can fix what's happening outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to focus inward, right?
Yeah. One of the things that I learned recently is it's my job to make me happy. It's not my job to make you happy. It's just my job to make me happy. So if I'm happy, then I'm going to radiate happiness out from me and love out from me. And hopefully, the other people will catch that vibe. Because what I'm finding is that when we spend our time trying to make somebody else happy, it's at our own detriment because we're not necessarily making ourselves happy.
You're right. I mean, I don't want to take on the world's problems when I'm trying to cope with mine. That's kind of what you're saying, right? You just have to take care of what's going on with you.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't want to say that that's like a totally hard and fast rule, because there are times where you have to help and support other people.
Absolutely.
But then again, in that whole thing, there needs to be, a dynamic of reciprocity versus, just a one-sided relationship where, I'm helping you all the time. And then, if I need help, you just kind of disappear.
And there are those. Yeah.
There are those. But those are the people that you don't need in your life because they're not going to be there to help and support you in the same way that you're willing to help and support them.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing when they disappear. You just don't let them back in.
Pretty much.
Wow. We are solving all the problems, but we have to take a break now. So for those who are listening, I hope you're enjoying this. And I tell you, you never know where our conversations are going. We have the best discussions. But we'll be back in 2 minutes. Y'all enjoy.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
When you come on to me